Hello and welcome to rounds 6 and 7 of the 2015 BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. You find us here in the west of England at the awesome Castle Combe circuit, and it's a circuit that even though it looks deceptively simple, it really is treacherous and bites back. Simon Baldwin leads the championship, but the likes of Darren Lewis, Ben Tuck and more are snapping at his heels. It was fast and frantic action at Brands Hatch, but if you missed any of the action, I'll hand you over to race commentator Richard John Neal, who can take you through all the highlights and also the championship standings coming in to this brilliant weekend.
Darren Lewis and Ben Tuck got off the line well here for the opening race of the weekend on the Grand Prix circuit. It was action all the way, including for the race leader Lewis, who goes off into the gravel and rejoined and fought off some incredibly strong challenges. You saw Brian Chandler off in the gravel there, no such problems for Lewis, and recovered to take the win. Race 2, just as frenetic. Ben Short coming through to take the honours. Brief look at Ben Tuck there, but here he's Short taking the checkered flag from Simon Baldwin and Darren Lewis. The championship standings after round 4. Baldwin the leader by 10 points from Darren Lewis. Ben Tuck third from Sam Smith and Paul Tucker. Paul Bishop in 6th from John Hughes and Simon Goddard. Well, let's take a look at the grid for race 1B. Pole position going to Carl Andrew with Matthew Cox alongside. Row 2, Stephen Andrew and Danny Green, followed by Simon Drinkle and Graham Colby. Then it's Courtney Milnes and Patrick Collins. Michael Lawson and Russ Lindsay next up from Simon Ricketts and Nick Ponting. Ivan Leary and Peng Fei Chen. Then Bruce Carter, Alex Saw, David Henderson, Duncan Carlisle and Brojo Perfetti, Nick Riley, Matt Pickford, Ewan Mill, Paul Austin and Anthony Hutchins complete the grid. This Group B, the second half of the qualifiers. The lights are on and the lights go out. It's a great start, pole position. Carl Andrew in red and white on the outside. It's Matthew Cox. They run down towards Folly and Avon Rise, the first corner. This the view from car number 61, Stephen Andrew, who's in second position, and it's the man who starts on the outside of the front row, Matthew Cox, who's there side by side for the race lead. Number 17, Russ Lindsay, right in the mix and being chased on the outside by Graham Colby. In car number 55, we've got Nick Ponting in the lime green number 10 car. Not sure if this is Nick's first race in the Mazda Championship. I do recall him racing in other championships years gone by. Danny Green in treble 1. The dark blue car is in the mix as well. But a cracking start. Now remember, this race for the second half of the grid, 48 cars have qualified to race in these races at Castle Combe, the BRSCC Mazda MX-5s. And this is the second half, so 25th on the grid. If they'd all been allowed out in one race, would have been Carl Andrew. And if you finish in the top 5 in this race, then you go through into the top half of the grid for race 2, Group A. That's how it works out, and it's a great format, and it gives us a chance to look at the drivers that we might not otherwise see. But the race leader, Stephen Andrew, is there at the moment. We've got a challenge on for second position, and going through is Carl Andrew on the inside of Matthew Cox. So Cox started P2, he was in P2, but he's now down to third place after leading briefly. Courtney Milnes is in the mix as well, the white car just going down into the first corner. So looking up the inside, Matthew Cox side by side with Danny Green in treble 1. Green and ever present in the championship. Third position in race B1 at Silverstone. You might run to Green, spun it away. Danny Green, that's not the best place to be. Thankfully, everybody avoids. Green gets going again and will hopefully rejoin the race. But Danny Green, almost certainly now, he's going to start the second race in Group B as well. Back to the front though, and it's car number 61, Stephen Andrew, who is still there. First race of the year for Stephen from Carl Andrew in 118, the Bedfordshire-based 30-year-old. 96 and 32. 32 is Alex Saw. Michael Lawson in 96. As you saw, Alex Saw with the newcomers insignia on the back of the car. We've still got a cracking scrap going on for the race lead they go through. And remember, this is the second half of the grid. So great racing to be had right the way down the order. As we look at Drew Forster in 177. Drew goes through, being chased by the Surrey man, Patrick Collins. Patrick, another of the drivers, looking to try and move out of Group B for the first time, but back with Carl Andrew, who's chasing Courtney Milnes. This is great news for Courtney. She could well find herself up into Group A for the first time. She had 9th position in Group B at Silverstone Race 1, got up into 4th in Group B at this stage. Sorry, 3rd position in this one, was 6th position in Group C at Brands Hatch. Of course, we had extra groups at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit. We've got a cracking scrap going on. Now, 2nd position is Nick Ponting, and we now go back into 177. Ewan Milne comes all the way from Carnoustie. This is 3rd start of the year. 4th position in Class B in Race 2 of the year. And he's going to make the pass, and he goes past Courtney Milnes down the inside. So cracking manoeuvre there by Ewan Milne, goes through, but look at the speed he's carried into the corner. Has to work the car hard. Nick Ponting, meanwhile, has come through into the lead. Nick Ponting, the 24-year-old from Gloucester. So this a relatively local circuit for him. He's the race leader. Now remember commentating on Nick in the Ginetta Junior Championship when it was contested by the G20 Ginetta. And Nick did some great results then, but look at Courtney Milnes, he's fighting back on the outside line and hanging on to it. Ewan Milne is the car in front, then behind them it's Matthew Cox, who's in the mix as well. We've got Graham Colby in 55. Now remember, the aim here of course is to win the race, but ultimately everyone's going to be looking at getting in the top 5 to move up a group. Stephen Andrew though still chasing Nick Ponting across the line and heading down the Dean Straight into Camp Corner and going for the outside line. Stephen Andrew, he's got the line. Nick Ponting's on the defensive inside line. Now has the 61 car got the momentum? I think he has. He moves across. Going through Avon Rise, coming up into Quarry Corner. It takes the apex at Quarry, and that indicates that Stephen Andrew has got the lead. Great onboard shot of the pass for the lead. Andrew leads. Nick Ponting's down to 3rd now. Ponting must have had a little problem. Well, he's not 3rd, he's 2nd. He's still there. Carl Andrew in 3rd place, rides the curb slightly. Ponting hangs on in 2nd position. Courtney Milnes is still there in 4th. They're followed by Matthew Cox. Then I think it's Graham Colby. Yes, it is the lime green car of Graham Colby that goes through in 6th place. But look at the scrap we've got on for 3rd position. Carl Andrew goes wide. He'll be hoping that momentum might be able to carry him past Ponting, who is actually picking up the pace a little bit now. I've got to say, Matthew Cox in 1:46 is there as well. The important result's going to be the top 5. Look away now. Stephen Andrews away. Nick Ponting in 2nd position, followed by Carl Andrew. Courtney Milnes is right in the mix at the moment, holding on to 4th position. Now this is absolutely key, because whoever ends up at the back of that trio is going to be the person that starts the 2nd race in Group B and won't join the Group A runners and pick up the points running in that group. But it's Stephen Andrews still out front. Nick Ponting 2nd, and Ponting's on a flyer. 3rd place is Carl Andrew. Ponting is starting to close the gap on Stephen Andrew on this last lap of Castle Combe. But Stephen Andrew looks like he's going to come through in the 61 car, his first race of the year, and he's going to join Group A. He's going to take the win. So through he goes into Bobby's for the last time. Then it's the run through Westway along the Dean Straight and into Camp Corner, which is where our camera is now. Stephen Andrew, and look how much Nick Ponting, who really is on a flyer, is closing up. But it's Stephen Andrew who comes out of the final turn and takes the checkered flag and wins race 1B here at Combe. Nick Ponting was on a flyer. He took the fastest lap on the last lap of the race. Carl Andrew takes 3rd position from Courtney Milnes. Graham Colby finishes 5th. Those 5 will join Group A for race 2, and a delighted Stephen Andrew, the race winner by 0.7 of a second here at Castle Combe. So it's Stephen Andrew from Nick Ponting, Carl Andrew 3rd, then Courtney Milnes and Graham Colby, Matthew Cox from Ewan Milne, then Michael Lawson and Russ Lindsay, Patrick Collins 10th. Head of Alex Saw, then David Henderson and Bruce Carter, Simon Ricketts 14th from Ivan Leary, Nick Riley, Duncan Carlisle, Matt Pitford, Ambrogio Perfetti, Simon Drinkle, Anthony Hutchins and Peng Fei Chen in 22nd. Non-finish sadly for Danny Green.
So, pleased to say the winner of race 1B here at Castle Combe for the Mazda MX-5 is with me, Steve Andrew. Steve, congratulations.
Thank
You had a really hard fight out of there with Carl. How was that?
It is difficult when you've got your son next to you and you don't want to wipe him out, but you still want to beat him. So, yeah, it was good fun though. So
I can tell you're quite satisfied at getting one up on Carl. I mean, you two really know how to battle hard without taking each other off, which is the main thing.
well, that's it, yeah. So you've got to get your car home. That's the important bit. So I don't know the guy who was in second, his name, but he was really fair as well. So we had a good little battle, and I managed to get first back again. I thought I'd lost it, but managed to get him down into quarry. And again, Carl was on the outside, so I was very conscious of that. So really pleased.
Welcome back to Castle Combe, which sees on pole position Sam Smith with Paul Bishop, his best qualifying ever, alongside Brian Chandler and Darren Lewis row 2, then Ben Tuck and Martin Tolley, Simon Goddard and championship leader Simon Baldwin on row 4, row 5 Paul Tucker and Clive Powers, then Paul Bateman and Ollie Allwood, Chris Hart and Michael Fisk row 7, Adam Craig and Kevin Dengate next, then Laurie Grant and James Harris, Matthew Tasker 19th, William Stevenson in 20th, ahead of Gary Hufford and Simon Woods. William Wood and Kevin Brent complete the grid. Problems for Laurie Grant, who hopefully will be able to start from pit lane. Lights are on, and away we go. The white car with the red and black flashes is Paul Bishop. To his inside, Sam Smith in 31. Brian Chandler in purple's trying to come through as well. Chris Hart in 22. Breaks ranks, looking to make up progress as well. How fiercely competitive is this meeting? Simon Baldwin, championship leader, back in 8th place on the grid. Now remember, Baldwin has been an ever-present on the podium thus far, and it's a great start by Paul Bishop. I can't recall Paul leading the race before, so this is going to be character building for him, and he's leading this one at the moment. Sam Smith in second position. You can see coming offline there was Simon Baldwin, up ahead of Martin Tolley, but it's Bishop still leading. He's getting better. Oh, look at the contact in the mix there, and it was Clive Powers with car number 68, Paul Tucker. They both survive it. Very robust racing and robust cars as well. So it's still Bishop in front, Chandler in second position, Sam Smith, the pole position man, now down to third. The pole position time here today, 1:20.9. Oh, through goes Chandler! Nicked up the inside into the chicane. A cracking manoeuvre by Brian Chandler, who goes through. Now remember, Chandler had that non-finish at Brands Hatch. You saw that in the highlights of the programme. It wasn't a highlight for Brian by any stretch of the imagination. Now that effectively going to be one of his drop scores, as Sam Smith's trying to get back in contention and gets forced out wide by the championship leader Simon Baldwin, who comes through and gets into a potential podium position again. That's what he's used to. Ben Tuck is in the mix as well, the white car with the purple cage. It really is a job to know where to look. Darren Lewis in 2.85 took a win at Brands Hatch in round 3. Simon Baldwin's win was at round 2, of course, and everybody using every little bit of tarmac that is there, some of them a little bit more, as Brian Chandler leads this one. Paul Bishop still in second position, then Simon Baldwin. Well, here's a replay. Chris Hart in 22 made a great start. We saw him break ranks, and this is how he did it right the way around the outside. Made a superb start. And you can see just how close it all gets. Hangs on to it in all the places that he made up on the grid. Chris Hart starting from 13th on the grid, lost with that little bit of shenanigans there as we go back to the race leaders. Sam Smith in 31, currently down in 5th position, and Darren Lewis has got 4th now, ahead of Simon Baldwin. Baldwin the championship leader, Darren Lewis second, 10 points down, then Ben Tuck is 3rd in the championship, Sam Smith 4th, and Sam a little bit of the way back in this race at the moment. Paul Bishop is 6th in the championship, a terrific start to the season for him, as you look at Ben Tuck putting pressure on Sam Smith. So really you could purn this one from any of these front runners, the way that the Mazda racing goes. 20-minute race effectively here at Castle Combe, 1.85 mile circuit. So Darren Lewis up ahead of Simon Baldwin, and then Sam Smith, the pole position man's got an awful lot of work to do to get back on track, and looking up the inside now is Ben Tuck. The teenager looks up the inside line. He's going to have the line coming into the Bobby's chicane, so keep your eyes on the white car coming up the inside line. Sam Smith gets hung out to dry very slow. Well, loses one place. Martin Tolley is at the back of that mix as well, followed by Clive Powles in 18. And Brian Chandler is away at the front still with Paul Bishop in second position. Darren Lewis is third. Tuck coming under pressure from Sam Smith. Look how close these cars get. The Mark 1 Mazdas, as always, giving us some superb racing. Now Smith's teeing up to have a look. He's not quite out on the wide racing line there. Went back in. 78, Kevin Dengate raced with us at Brands Hatch, which was his first meeting of the season. These guys are a little way down the order. 101, Simon Woods is there ahead of him, but we go back to the front group. And Ben Tuck piling the pressure on Sam Smith, who in turn is trying to get past Paul Bishop, who's dropped back from second. So Darren Lewis second, Sam Smith's trying to come through for third place. Paul Bishop, after a very good set of opening laps, is succumbing to the pressure, and he's on the outside line. Ben Tuck's going to go through as well. Bishop gets it wide, back on circuit, hard on the brakes. Into the chicane they go. Well, I think Paul Bishop is going to be a little bit cross with himself there, but this is all experience for him. As they come down through Kent Corner, you can see the entrance into the pit lane there, and Sam Smith's going up the inside, side by side with Darren Lewis. Sam Smith, fastest man on circuit at the moment on lap 7, 1:20.304, 82.93 miles an hour, the fastest lap, and Smith has got second position. But at the moment, away in the distance is Brian Chandler. It's all about second position at the moment, and a three-way dice, and it's Ben Tuck who's got in front of Darren Lewis. So Lewis down into fourth position. Lewis will try and fight back. Sam Smith in second position. You can see behind them Paul Bishop using the correct racing line, building momentum, trying to tack himself on this trio, dicing over second place. And you saw Brian Chandler go through shot. Look at the lead that he's got. It's about 2.5, 3 seconds at the moment. There is Lewis, the chaser, in 2.85. Well, this is absolutely superb between these three. Bishop's trying to get on case as well. Simon Baldwin, incidentally, the championship leader, is back in sixth place behind Paul Bishop, and he's not really close enough to have a move at the moment. And we've got good drivers at the lower reaches of the top 10 or top championship drivers there. Here we go in car again with Bishop. Through went Sam Smith, and through as well went Ben Tuck. So that's how you can lose 2 places in one go. But Paul Bishop led well, and contact. Darren Lewis dives down the inside of Sam Smith. He's trying to get that second position, and he's got the line, but he hasn't got the momentum to stick the nose of the car down the inside. Very physical racing. Ben Tuck still behind them as well. Brian Chandler goes through, still the race leader. Lewis is trying absolutely everything he can to get on terms with Sam Smith. Back down the order, 34 and 101, 34 Matt Tasker, 101 Simon Woods. Those guys very much engaged in battle as well. 82 is William Wood, 78 Kevin Dengate still hanging in there as well. And this the view from Chris Hart, localish race for him. Comes from Stroud, makes the move past James Harris in the 37 car. James, who we saw a fair bit of at Brands Hatch, with 6th position in top group in race number 1. He's a little bit further down the order than he would like to be today as we look at Paul Bateman in 42. Simon Baldwin coming under pressure now from Martin Tolley. Baldwin runs 6, Tolley in 7th position, and back to the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and at the moment it's Sam Smith still in 2nd, and Darren Lewis is all over the back of him and piling the pressure on, and Lewis can't make a move here. Smith still holds on to 2nd position. Chandler's building his lead still. He's got that out to 3 seconds. So Chandler away and down the road. So through goes 82, William Wood side by side with Kevin Dengate, who's going to have a look down the inside. Dengate, I think, is going to make the pass and try and go through past William Wood. Meanwhile, here's the battle for second place, and he's finally got the car down the inside. Darren Lewis has got track position here. Sam Smith has seen him. Very clean, fair racing between the pair of them. So that was Lewis's move. Sam Smith bounces the curves. We've got Ben Tuck in fourth place, who will be eager to try and tack back on. Brian Chandler goes out of shot now, the race leader. It is effectively a three-way battle for second place. Coming down into Camp Corner once again. Lewis is there, goes on to the last lap. Wide line from Sam Smith, who wants to get back on terms. Back with Chris Hart. Chris about to try and pass Adam Craig. Adam Craig down in 18th position. Now, as we said in race number 1B, we were watching the top 5 positions to see who went up into this group for race 2. It's the bottom 5 here, and any DNFs, Laurie Grant, who will get demoted. So it'll be Laurie Grant who will go down, and William Wood, Matt Tasker, Kevin Dengate and company all dicing over who's going to drop down into Group B. But no problems for Brian Chandler, who takes the first win of the year for himself and salutes that win. Second position goes to Darren Lewis from Sam Smith, Ben Tuck. Here comes Paul Bishop in 44. Fifth position for Paul Bishop, bettering his previous best of 7th position at Brands Hatch, a double 7th position at Brands Hatch for him. So cracking stuff from Paul Bishop. Here though comes Chris Hart up ahead of Adam Craig in 29. Chris Hart will finish in 13th place, Adam Hart in 14th, but it was a win for Brian Chandler, and that's going to help his championship standings. Remember, Brian in the 76 car with that retirement in round 3. So Chandler wins, Darren Lewis second from Sam Smith and Ben Tuck, then Paul Bishop and Simon Baldwin. Martin Tolley 7th from Clive Powles. Paul Tucker is 9th from Simon Goddard. Ollie Allwood next from Michael Fisk and Chris Hart, getting the better of Adam Craig. Then Gary Hufford and James Harris. Paul Bateman 17th from Simon Woods, William Stevenson. William Wood 20th from Matt Tasker, Kevin Dengate and Kevin Brent. Non-finish for Laurie Grant, and fastest lap Sam Smith.
Brian, you've had a bit of a tricky season so far, but finally, top step of the podium. How's that?
Yeah, finally. Yeah, it's been a tricky start to the season, so yeah, just relieved I can still do it basically. So yeah, it was good. I could see the guys behind me scrapping, so that meant I could get away really. But if they hadn't been scrapping, they would have been right on me bumper the whole time. But it was nice for me just to go out there and drive really.
How surprising was that? Because on a circuit like Castle Combe, any gap you can find is a large one. So how surprising was it to pull away as much as you did?
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, but then I could see them scrapping, and it was just, I just got to keep it on the tarmac really. So yeah, once I knew that they was fighting, it was good, But then I could see them then working together, and I thought, now they're going to have a tow and get up behind. So just kept my head down really the whole race, and just kept on looking at my lap time and just kept on pumping them in really.
So welcome back to Castle Combe, round 4 of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Pole position goes to William Wood with Matt Tasker alongside. Row 2, Kevin Dengate and Kevin Brent. Then it's Matthew Cox and Michael Lawson. Row 4, Russ Lindsay and Patrick Collins, followed by Alex Saw and David Henderson. Row 6, Simon Ricketts and Ivan Leary. Then it's Nick Riley and Duncan Carlisle, Matt Pitford and Ambrogio Perfetti, Simon Drinkle and Anthony Hutchins next with Peng Fei Chen and Guy Carter. 177 this time driven by Drew Forster and Laurie Grant, who we saw retire into pit lane at the start of race 1. He starts at the back of the field with a fair bit of work to do as we wait for the lights to come on. The sequence commences now. 4 on, 5. Out go the lights. So pole position, remember. William Wood, the red car with the white car rather, with the red checkers. To his outside, Matt Tasker. This the view from 177, Drew Forster, who goes up the inside, gets a knock as well. That's Ambrogio Perfetti in yellow on the outside. Up in front of us, the 66 car of Nick Riley, but it's Wood that leads. Russ Lindsay looks around the outside. 78, Kevin Dengate is there. Matthew Cox in the mix as well. And a spin from Patrick Collins in 99. And avoiding action by Anthony Hutchins onto the grass in the red, white and blue car. The number 80 rejoins. So Collins and Hutchins still going. But right at the back of the field, a frenetic start to race 2B. This the second half of the grid, remember. Well, what a start we've had. Russ Lindsay being chased by Kevin Dengate in red. You can see the race leaders are up ahead. It's Matthew Tasker who leads the race at the moment from William Wood. Massive sort out. Oh, and a spin there for Simon Ricketts in 36. I think he's kept the motor running. Yes, he has. Rejoins. Thankfully, nobody collected. What we've seen so far with the spinners on that one, a high-speed circuit like Castle Combe, we could have seen a heck of a lot more damage with, and problems there as well for 75, which is Guy Carter in this race, taking over from Bruce. You can share cars in the Mazda Championship as well. And this, the battle between Alex Saw and Kevin Brent. Saw in the 32 car, the two teammates very much hard at it, and it's Saw is leading that one at the moment. Through comes the field, the 30 and 4, 30 being Paul Austin, David Henderson in car number 4. Henderson piling the pressure on, and that very unique looking 30 car of Paul Austin. These guys just inside the top 10 at the moment. And of course, if you finish in the top 5 in race 2B, then effectively there's no promotional relegation unless there's a third race, which we haven't, because this is a relatively straightforward double header this weekend. So no further points to be gained. You're stuck with the group that you're in as the two teammates continue to battle. So Saw has got the upper hand at the moment. Kevin Brent, though, the 49-year-old man from Worcestershire, piling the pressure on, was 26 in Group A in the first meeting of the season, first race of the season, dropped down to Group B. So has had two out of 3 qualifying sessions this year in the top half of the grid, as it were. And he looks to the outside line, coming up into the mix as well. The black and gold of Simon Drinkle, the 96 car on the inside of Londoner Michael Lawson, who's very much involved in the mix as well. It's frenetic stuff, and this the view from Drew Forster, who goes through on the inside, makes the pass, a good clean pass there by Drew Forster. So Michael Lawson is the man now on the inside, and we'll see whether Drew can hang on to position. He's in the wide outside line. There is the 177 car, kicks up a bit of dirt. Coming out in sympathy is Paul Austin. But we go back to the two teammates still dicing it out. It's Alex Saw still in that lead position at the moment of this group, I hasten to add, from Kevin Brent in 41, and a great big gaggle of cars queuing up to want to try and go past. And it's probably the battle of the race at the moment. Michael Lawson's going to go for the outside line and try and come through. He's got Drew Forster right behind him as well, and the black car, the dark green car with the yellow stripe is Laurie Grant, who's come through from the back of the field as we go in car once again with Drew Forster. And there's all sorts of shenanigans with cars off left, right and centre. Kevin Brent's off, so Brent's going to be out of the race. 96 rejoins, so it's a very quick recovery for the 96 car of Michael Lawson. There is the 13 machine, Laurie Grant, we mentioned, starting from the back of the field, running well, and he's made it up well inside the top 10. Oh, and contact coming into the chicane, and out goes the 69 car. Simon Drinkle is out. There is the battle-scarred Kevin Brent machine going down into the pit lane. In fact, never mind the pit lane, back to the paddock. But this, the scrap for the lead, and it's Matt Tasker, who's been passed by Kevin Dengate. Dengate runs wide on the exit. William Wood is coming up as well and challenging. Three-way scrap for the lead. This is absolutely brilliant between, as I say, we've got some cracking racing in Group A and Group B. And it's Matt Tasker that leads at the moment in the 34 car, the South Northington based man, qualified in Group A, both here and at Silverstone. but finished at the back of the pack and got dropped down the order. Big moment there for Nick Riley. Look at the dirt he's brought onto the track. That is going to help no one, but he has got going again. So the 66 car just outside the top 10 will rejoin the race. Back though to Matthew Tasker, the race leader. The Blendini car of Kevin Dengate running second. William Wood, the racing rookie, is there in third, and we can expect William to make progress. He qualified in the top half of the grid for the first time this weekend. 20th position was his result in race number 1, so drops down into Group B. But the significant thing, of course, is that you get the experience of being up with the lead group. Then it's a wide moment from Kevin Dengate. William Wood nearly goes as wide. Dengate gets it back on track. Wood is chasing hard. And here is Laurie Grant side by side with 32. Alex Saw. What a dismal race for the two teammates. Saw has got it fired up. Again, that could have been a very nasty incident right off the virtually flat out camp corner. Goodness me, well, Chop to know where to focus next. 36 and 25, 36 Simon Ricketts, 25 Ivan Leary. Is all Leary all over the place and on the grass, and hopefully we'll keep it fired up and rejoin. That's a potential top 10 gone for Ivan, but it's Matthew Tasker, the race leader, Kevin Dengate in second position, William Wood a little bit adrift at the moment in third, but look at the gap, the top 3, and all credit to all 3 of them have pulled out over the 4th position. Battle between Russ Lindsay in 17, 146 is Matthew Cox, then it's Drew Forster coming into shot, I think in 6th position. So Matthew Tasker gets it all sideways, puts his foot down again and rejoins the battle for the lead here with Kevin Dengate looking up the inside. It was a little bit of opposite lock there for Tasker, who's lost the lead. Kevin Dengate has come through. Tasker lost momentum a couple of corners back, and Dengate saw the opportunity. William Wood is trying desperately to close in on the lead group. I can tell you that Dengate has got the fastest lap of the race. Tasker is all over the back of the race leader though, but Dengate's the fastest man on track. Tasker's trying to hunt him down. It's the 78 machine. This is the first race of the year in Group B for Kevin Dengate. Brake lights on as they go. Oh, and problems there for 36 Simon Ricketts. He's rejoined. He's still a long way from being last. We've got cars that are coming up on him as we go back to the race leaders. Dengate from Matt Tasker in second position. William Wood is there as well, and we're on to the last lap. A little bit of back marker traffic perhaps looming for the race leaders, but it's only 1 minute 22. That's a fair gap that the back marker's got. As go around the outside and now on the inside goes Matthew Tasker looking for the lead, but Kevin Dengate is hanging on to it. Close stuff for first and second. Dengate the race leader. Let's see what Matthew Tasker can do. He goes to the wide line once again. They're coming down Farm Straight into the S's for the last time, up towards Old Paddock Bend. Through goes, I think, Anthony Hutchins, the back marker, and Tasker still in second position, and Kevin Dengate, the race leader, pulls out a little bit of a gap. William Wood is trying to close up, and has closed up because there's a problem for Tasker. Handle off from the second place man. Drama on the last lap as Matthew Tasker pulls over. William Wood's up to second. That's going to leave Kevin Dengate clear to take the race win. Comes down into the Bobby chicane for the last time. Tasker seems to have got his momentum back. His hand was aloft. He thought there was a problem in the car. He's still going, and more importantly, he's on for another podium. Through goes Anthony Hutchins out of shot and into camp corner for the last time. Kevin Dengate will take the win in the 78 car. He's got the fastest lap as well. There is the checker, and there's the second place man, William Wood, 1.6 seconds down on the race winner. Third position goes to Matt Tasker. So whatever problem Matthew had, he's either managed or it's disappeared. So he takes that third position. Russ Lindsay fourth from Matthew Cox, but a delighted Kevin Dengate who takes the win. William Wood second from Matt Tasker, and then Russ Lindsay. Matthew Cox fifth from Drew Forster. Laurie Grant, great drive from the back of the field, to seventh. Paul Austin eighth from Michael Lawson, then David Henderson and Patrick Collins. Alex Saw 12th from Simon Ricketts. Nick Riley next from Ambrogio Perfetti. Ivan Leary recovered for 16th from Matt Pickford and Pen Fei Chen, with Anthony Hutchins 19th. Non-finishes for Simon Drinkle, Kevin Brent and Guy Carter, and confirmation of Kevin Dengate's fastest lap here at Castle Combe to conclude the Group B racing.
The winner out of that amazing three-way scrap, of course, is Kevin Dengate. Kevin, you must have had a smile on your face all race long. That was an amazing battle. How was that from the driver's seat?
It was great fun. The two guys that I was up against did really well. I think I spent probably most of the time in seconds. Every time I seemed to get in front, I seemed to get a little bump, and I think he just nudged me out of the way a few times. I got him a couple of laps from the end and just managed to hang on, really. So I really enjoyed it. It was great fun, great fun.
Hello again from Castle Combe, race 2A with Brian Chandler on pole position with Darren Lewis. Row 2, Sam Smith and Ben Tuck, then Paul Bishop and Simon Baldwin. The fourth row, Martin Tolley and Clive Powell, followed by Paul Tucker and Simon Goddard. The sixth row, Ollie Allwood and Michael Fisk, then Chris Hart and Adam Craig. Row 8, Gary Hufford and James Harris, followed by Paul Bateman and Simon Woods. On row 10, it's William Stevenson and Stephen Andrew, winner of Group B, of course. Nick Ponting on row 11 with Carl Andrews, then Courtney Mills and Graham Colby completing the grid. 2 lights on, 3. Getting ready for our last race of the day, and from pole position, Brian Chandler makes an excellent start. Darren Lewis is alongside, but Chandler is clear as they go down into Folly for the first time. A little bit of dust being kicked up, but I think everyone going through unscathed, and that's good. This is the in-car shot from 31, Sam Smith, who finished third, so a podium slot for him in race number 1. And chasing hard, and Chandler, you can saw the car got upset by the curbs, goes out wide. Sam Smith's going to try and come up the inside. Side by side, as they come along the farm straight into the S's. Brian Chandler, though, emerges in the race lead, up into third place is Simon Baldwin. Off goes 68 and 368. Paul Tucker is off, so too is Ben Tuck. So Ben third in the championship, and the car is, he's got it fired up, he's got it into gear, but he's right at the back of the field. So Ben Tuck here, this is going to be about damage limitation for him, and effectively going to be one of his drop scores, I would think. But of course he needs to get as high as he can up the field to get as many points, just in case he has retirements later on in the year. Battle for the lead though, Brian Chandler, Sam Smith, Simon Baldwin is there in third place. Baldwin uncharacteristically off the podium, 6th position in race number 1. There's Paul Bishop, who runs in 5th place, equaling his best result thus far. And Ben Tuck on a little bit of a mission now, goes past the inside of Stephen Andrew, the dad of Carl, who won the race, of course, race 1B at the start of the meeting. And the 5 runners from Group B all enjoying themselves in this one and battling amongst themselves at the back of the pack. So Clive Powell's in 18 heading this group of cars. There in 46 is Simon Goddard, the Guildford-based driver, and Simon an ever-present this year in Group A. As through into third place goes Darren Lewis. So Darren Lewis third now. Simon Baldwin, championship leader. Well, if he stays where he is, he'll maintain the championship. If the positions stay where they are, he will maintain the championship lead, but it will be a reduced deficit, something the government's looking for, isn't it? But it will be a reduced deficit of from 10 points down to 4 or 5 points. He's chasing Darren Lewis. Paul Bishop is back in 5th position, still in 44. The white car with the red and black fashes comes into shot. He's chasing hard as well, but Sam Smith and Brian Chandler got away like this in race number 1, but Sam Smith wants to have a play here and he wants to go for the win himself. And Smith, you can see, tracking the race leader. So Nick Ponting in 10, passed by Paul Tucker, who we saw involved on that first lap. So Tucker starting to try and work his way back up the order, starting 9th on the grid in this one, and a fair bit of recovery work to do. Simon Goddard in the mix, Michael Fisk in car number 8, the black car on the inside line. So 3 wide, terrific shot as we go back to third, fourth and fifth. Third position, Darren Lewis. And he wants to stay ahead, of course, of the number 9 car. That's going to be even better news for him, because going through on the inside is Paul Bishop. So Bishop's made up the place, and that's taking points away from Simon Baldwin. And of course, let's just put the record absolutely correct. Of course, so Paul Bishop's in line of getting into the 6th in the championship, so he's fighting for points as well. But Darren Lewis, who's ahead of Bishop in the championship, will be pleased to see that Simon Baldwin has been passed, and that's more points taken away from him. Here's a replay. Bishop looks down the inside line. Baldwin just left half a gap there. The car extremely well placed down the inside. Bishop even has a look across just to make sure the move was completed safely, which it was. And we go back to the race leaders. Car number 31, the chaser, Sam Smith, the 22-year-old from Downham Market, still chasing the race leader. And these guys on the absolute ragged edge. You can see Brian Chandler, Haverhill base, so both of these guys from East Anglia, so it's the battle of the East Anglians here. And Sam Smith's going to have a look. He's so close. You can barely see the gap between the two. Smith going a little bit too far there, and you can see going wide rubs the momentum off the car. If you're going sideways, you're not going forwards. An old racing cliche, but you can see the gap there, how that gap came out. And Chandler pulls a little bit further away. Smith getting it all sideways. He's going to have to sort himself out and try and knuckle down and close in on the race leader here. Who's got the fastest lap? Sam Smith is actually the quicker of the two on best lap. So the leaders go through. Here are the pair dicing for, in fact, Simon Baldwin's got back in front now of Paul Bishop, and he's getting on the case of Darren Lewis. So Baldwin chasing Lewis. Baldwin, remember, the championship leader, the 47-year-old from Reigate in Surrey, and this is the 5th place car, and putting the challenge in again. And I tell you what, Baldwin here is having to defend very confidently from Paul Bishop. So Bishop loses a little bit of ground now. It's Martin Tolley in the red machine back in 6th position, trying to get on terms with these, but Baldwin again, it's ebbing and flowing, isn't it? He was defending hard from Bishop, but now he's got himself back on Lewis. And talking of making a little comeback and getting back on the case of the guy in front, Sam Smith has done that, and he's challenging Brian Chandler again. Smith's car looks the looser of the two, takes a tighter line, trying to get his nose up the inside here, and Smith's going for it and trying to come through in the race lead. They're coming down into the chicane, and Smith's got through. He's got the lead. Sam Smith passes Brian Chandler. Well, the one thing we know about Chandler is that he will fight back. So Chandler second in the 76 car. They come down the farm straight through Old Paddock Bend, through Hammerdown now, coming down towards Tower Corner, where our camera is. And then we'll pick them heading up towards the chicane at Bobby's, but they come out of Tower, and Chandler takes the wider line. Now he's the chaser. He can afford those wider lines, and that will give him a little bit more momentum, maybe to point the car up the inside into one of the corners. But Chandler runs one. A little mistake there on the exit of Bobby's and into Westway. Loses ground, and Sam Smith is now starting to pull clear past the entrance to the pit lane. No need for that for either of these drivers. Through Camp Corner and across the line as we go down the order. Chris Hart in 22 and 68, Paul Tucker. Simon Woods in the Orange 101. 63 is Ollie Allwood, dicing hard here with Simon Goddard, and Oliver Allwood goes through on the inside line. I think he's going to make that move stick. Yes, he does. So good move from Allwood. We're into the last lap. Is Sam Smith's going to hang on? We've got Ben Tuck there as well. Car number 3 from virtually, I think, if not last on the grid, has come up into the top 10. So Ben Tuck here, looking to try and go through past Ollie Allwood. Let's see whether he can do it. Ollie Allwood in the 63, Ben Tuck's gotten through. That's going to net him 9th position with just under a mile and a half to go around this Castle Combe circuit. So a terrific recovery drive from Ben Tuck, who's going to post a 9th here. His worst result prior to this year, 2 6th places, one at Silverstone, one in race 2 at Brands Hatch, and he's still very much in the mix. Gary Hufford is there as well. But coming down into Camp Corner for the last time, the race leader, Sam Smith. Brian Chandler's got the best lap of the race, though. So Chandler, fastest lap, but it's a win for Sam Smith. Smith wins, Chandler, second and fastest lap. Simon Baldwin will take third position. He got the better of Darren Lewis, with Paul Bishop in fifth position, and a great result for Bishop, chased hard across the line by Martin Tolley. Here though is Ben Tuck, who's coming through just ahead of Simon Goddard. A terrific recovery drive from Ben Tuck, through from last after that lap one up into ninth position. Who says there's no overtaking motor racing? If you say that, clearly you haven't seen the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. And honours shared this weekend between Brian Chandler, who takes a first and a second, and Sam Smith, who takes a first and a third. So Chandler the top scorer on the weekend, but race 2A goes to Sam Smith from Brian Chandler. Simon Baldwin third, then Darren Lewis and Paul Bishop from Martin Tolley and Clive Powles. Michael Fisk and Ben Tuck next, Simon Goddard 10th, then Oliver Allwood and Gary Hufford from James Harris and Adam Craig, Simon Woods and Chris Hart from Paul Tucker and Paul Bateman, then Graham Colby, first of the Group B runners moving up into A for this race, from Carl Andrew, Courtney Milnes 21st, then Stephen Andrew, Nick Ponting 23rd, and William Stevenson in 24th. No non-finishers.
So our hard-fought winner in race 2A is Sam Smith. Sam, what an amazing battle between yourself and Brian, and the smile on your face tells all. You enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. We, at the start, I thought we've just got to get our heads down and get away from everyone else, and we'd worry about battling towards the end, you see. And yeah, once we were clear, I was watching my lap counter. I could see I get to a sort of 13, 14 laps. I thought, I've only got 3 laps left. I'll see if I can make a move. And yeah, managed to get through in the lead. And I think Brian had some problems, apparently.
It must have been a huge sigh of relief, thinking, oh, finally done it when you got through.
Yes and no. Once you're through, that's okay, but that's always harder to lead than it is to follow. And the mistakes start coming in then.
And you put yourself now into the championship hunt for the rest of the season. I guess just keep the momentum up and see what happens from there.
Yeah, we were 4th in the championship, I think, at the moment. And this can only have made things better. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And indeed, Sam Smith moves to third in the table. Simon Baldwin retains the lead, but that is now down to 6 points ahead of Darren Lewis. Smith third then from Ben Tuck, then Brian Chandler and Paul Bishop. Paul Tucker next from Martin Tolley, Simon Goddard and Clive Powles in 10th.
So that brings a close to today's action. And what that now means is, of course, we have our all 4 winners. So congratulations to them, and the championship now moves forwards. They head to Rockingham in a few weeks' time, so be sure to catch us then. But if you want to find out more, then head to the website, www.brsccmazda.co.uk. From all of us here at Castle Combe, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time. Bye for now.